something else, but I say hello, 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 hello. Anyway, hang on, my hair is all over my face. Okay, we're doing a circus theme today. You guys can't hear me yet, so I'm gonna wait a second. All right, we're doing a circus theme today. My crap. This thing gets messy because it just has your hand on it. Anyway, I thought we would do an elephant on a ball like in the circus. So we're just doing the sketching stage where everything can change. You know, I've been seeing this gosh, what is it called? This trend on shorts, which is just people showing like the messiest stage of their artwork. And being like, you know, this is the part that's embarrassing and it's dumb, but I like it's also super necessary, and here's like why I like it and why it's good for what I'm doing. And I think that's really great. This is the messiest part of my artwork. And same thing, right? It's like it's super um like ugly, and it doesn't convey like how good it's going to be at the end, and it's just sort of this this mess. But it's really important, and it's I like it, even though I think like it's not embarrassing exactly, but sort of, because like there was a an odd oops, sorry guys, there was an audio going around that was like, don't look at my sketchbook when I'm in the middle of in the middle of making a piece of art, because you're going to see hands that look like "Mwah," and colors that don't make sense, and um I can't remember the audio, but it's like that. This is the sketching stage. And so like you're not, for me anyway, I try to be really, really loose in the sketching stage, because I still want inspiration to strike in the sketching stage. So I don't try to make any full decisions at this, well, like up until this point. And this is when I start making actual decisions. Hey, Justa OM player. What's OM? I don't have a ton of time to play video games. I love video games, especially retro games, but all sorts. And with Resident Evil coming out, I'm a huge fan of horror games. Resident Evil specifically, but a lot of horror games. And so I wanted to brush up. I've played all the Resident Evil games before, but I thought I would brush up on them and see what's the next. Let's put a little crown on this elephant. I think that would be adorable. So I started playing Resident Evil 2 again last night, because that's what they said, because it's a Leon game, I guess, and there's a remake. So we're doing circus stuff today. If you have any suggestions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I will put them on a list, and then if we get to them, that'll be great. We'll do some. If your circus suggestion is circusy and suggestiony enough, we'll get that done. We do the sketches and kind of finish them off in pencil, and then we'll go back and we'll probably color one or two of them. Oh, hang on. I am just gonna pull up a elephant reference, because I want to get the face right. I'm not going to do tusks. Ooh, yeah, clown's a good idea. Let me put that on the list. And then I was wondering, should we put this on a little, like sometimes the ball is on like a, oh man, there's a YouTuber. I can't remember his name. Nate, maybe? And he's like a homesteader. He seems like a good guy. Doesn't seem like, some of the homesteader people can be homesteaders because they're kind of mean and they're antisocial. He does not seem like that. He seems very nice, very like a nice guy. Anyway, his dog is named Minion. I can't remember what kind of dog it is, but it can do this ball trick where it stands on the ball and moves around. Pretty neat. Okay, let's get this ball a little decorated. Oh, I forgot to write down clown. I was looking for my Post-its. Man, my desk is a mess. My Post-its are gone, so I'm just going to write it on this scrap and put it here to the side. Let's see. Why is this scrap a loop? Okay. Jeez. I am a mess. Clown. Oh, I am having a day. I hope everyone else is having a good day. Okay. If we're going to make this elephant a little bit more realistic, we're going to skinny up the legs a little bit. And yeah, give them some joints. I think the body's pretty good. Make the head a little bit smaller. Well, we're going to leave it cartoony. So we'll leave the head gigantic, I think. The eye's in a good spot, but we'll kind of make it more soulful. An elephant's mouth is kind of like, we'll give it like a hint of a smile. I'm gonna pull this out. I'm torn because while I do really like this cartoony head, I kind of want the elephant's body to be more realistically proportioned. I'm just not feeling. I thought this would look good, little elephant like balancing on the ball, but I'm not really feeling this particular rendition. Very circusy. Let's clean it up just a little bit and then we'll go on to a clown, I think. Oops, I'm holding my breath. I don't know why I do that. Okay. Man, so I did, I grew up on Long Island. Oh, nice. Welcome back, Yesenia. Hi, Steffi. Or Stella. Sorry, hi, Stella. Not bad, not bad. And then we would do, I'm not going to color it exactly, but we would do this as like red and white, kind of like that. And same with this. This would be like red and like gold. There'd be like gold things. Yeah, I like it. I'm like not. Ooh, what are you eating? Durian? What, jackfruit? I just had tater tots. Is it tater tots? All right, I like this. Oh, man. Let's see, let's see. It could be pudding, rice pudding, bread pudding, plum pudding, sticky toffee pudding. Okay, before we do the clown, I was just inspired because we're talking about food to do some. Oh man, Oh, masala, yeah. Masala. I thought that was the answer, and I was jealous. Um, hmm. Why am I doing this crooked? Got it. 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 Let's see. Peanuts. Is it peanuts? Did I get it right? I'm gonna make this go slightly this way, so we can have it also. We can see the side of it like this. This is a little paper bag. They have that little triangle. They have this thing, and then this kind of goes by. Is it rice? Because the best food ever. Yeah, clown is next. I just because we're talking about food, I wanted to do a popcorn, but I will draw a clown in my classic weird style. I think that'll be really nice. Why am I so bad? I'm really hyper today. I'm not usually hyper, just in general. I think like, when you become old, you stop being hyper as often. I think that's science. I'm pretty sure. Um, this will probably be striped, like every good popcorn bag. And then let's just do scallop, scallop, scallop. You know what? I need to draw the line and then draw the bottom line and then just scallop between those things. Draw the line, draw the bottom. Yeah. Okay. That works. Hey, Justa. The eyes, yeah, of the elephant. Okay, let's do the clown. I'm bouncing all over the place, so it might be a little hard to follow today. I apologize. This was a popcorn bag. It will be red and white if we color it. Give it a little seam there. Okay. Clown's up next. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been streaming a little bit less, so I think there's less opportunities to catch my streams. I was streaming 5 or 6 days a week, and I am down to 3 or 4 days a week just because I realized I wasn't doing any shorts, which I really love doing shorts. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of time to do that, and I wasn't doing anything else. Like I wasn't doing enough of my other work, and so I had to make sure I was doing that. Okay, clowns are really interesting. So I always heard the term rodeo clown. Right. I have two interesting facts about clowns. So rodeo clowns, I didn't know that um, they serve a real purpose. They're not just like entertainment. They are also there for the protection of the other rodeo performers because they will show up and like distract the bull and get the bull to go at them so that the people can escape. So like they're an integral part in the safety of the rodeo. And they're some of the most like brave and scary people, rodeo clowns. And then the second thing is, well, actually, I know three things, so we'll say one more. The second thing is, if you want to copyright your clown makeup, you can. And the way they do that, I think in France, is you do the clown makeup on an egg, and then they take that egg and they put it like in a room, hollow egg. You clear out the egg; it's not going to rot. And they take that egg and they put it like in a room where there's all these little eggs, and they all have the clown makeup of different clowns on them. And they're like, "Yep." They compare it and they're like, "Yeah, you can do that." It's crazy. I was thinking hair like this. And then the third thing is if a clown dies, the clown makeup is not to be done by the undertaker. It's meant to be done only by another clown. And I think that's kind of sweet. And you put little bows. Okay. I'm digging this. I'm digging this. We're getting the basic shape of the clown down. I think we have the big shoes. We're going to do, let's do gigantic shorts. Like it's the early 2000s. I genuinely knew people in the early 2000s who wore shorts that looked pretty much like this. People definitely called them clown pants. And then I knew a lot of people who also wore shoes that were way too big for them in school and grade school and like junior high. So I remember my friends who were guys they wanted everyone to think they had big feet. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think we could all make a guess or two. Um, yeah, I am interested in the clown makeup I draw also. I am thinking about it, which is why but because of that, they would wear shoes that were too big. And then they couldn't walk right and they were flopping around all over the place. It was so strange. I think shoe sizes have gotten smaller though. Or maybe I also was wearing shoes that were too big, but I didn't know it because I went down a half a size as I became an adult. Or actually, I think I read somewhere that like your feet can shrink a little bit because of age. Okay, got a big pockets. And we'll put like big colorful patches on the knees. We'll do one square. We'll do two squares. And then we will pattern these up a little bit when we do more detail, more color. Okay. Time to do... I guess we never guessed the food. Man, so... I want the clown to be fully dressed, but I also want them to be wearing a ridiculous crop top. So I think they're going to be wearing like a tighter shirt underneath, maybe a bright color, and then a ridiculous crop top. Ooh, I had another idea. I mean, still the ridiculous crop top, but Okay. Drawing a clown is fun. Okay, I don't know if we'll put anything on the crop top, but I like it. Okay. Arms. Gloved hands, I think, is an obvious clownism. If your hands are out like this, the pinkies are showing forward. Okay. So hand, pinky, thumb is back here, something like that. That looks terrible. It doesn't matter. Glove, hand. Oh, man. All right. These will be bows. We'll do that a little bit better in a second. Just making sure I don't forget. I guess they're slacking. Well, I guess their legs. We drew the legs first, so I know they're pretty proportionate. I just think it's funny how like it really changes how you look. I remember like when people wore these giant shorts and they were slacking and stuff. It's called slacking. I don't know why. I guess slackers did it, but this is how they would look. Their body shape would look so friggin' strange. All right. Let's see. So I think clown nose. I think not every clown wears a big nose, but I think this clown does. Let's put the eyes in just to get the placement, and the mouth. Same, just to get the placement. Ears are going to be behind the wig, so we're not going to see those. That makes that easy. We're going to move this part of the hair over a little bit because we're covering the face there, because we've turned her face a little bit to the right. Okay. Now we got to get a chin and a kind of a neck in there. Maybe I've cut this a little too close. No, I think that works. The hair can come down. Okay. Cheek, chin, nose. Yeah, I mean, we can drop this down a little bit to give us more room for the neck and the chin. So let's just do that before. So we're not limiting ourselves artificially and making our job more difficult for no reason. Okay. Gosh, what do clown makeup look like? There's an artist who did these like crying clown girls that reminded me a lot of Harley Quinn. Uh, it's kind of like edgy in a real cringy way nowadays. But I was like a teen, and you know how like sometimes when you're a teenager, you just like what you like, even if it's cringy and edgy, or like maybe even especially if it's cringy and edgy. And they would have the eyes, like the clown eyes, and like really dark eye makeup with like the bright like white around the eye, and then it would be running and like it would be like that. So I've taken the influence there to give three like a kind of an upside down crown. I like that. And then we'll wrap that off with a giant. Okay. Now for the mouth. I think we'll do this kind where it like wraps around. I'm trying to think of all the clown makeup I've ever seen. That's not like not like the evil clown makeup. Surprisingly, a lot of evil clown makeup out there. Some blush, a big beauty mark. I think that's my clown makeup. I'm not going to try to go further than that. You got the real mouth inside. You got the fake red, like lip mouth on the outside, beauty mark, blush, and the eye thing going on. I think that's pretty good. Um, we'll get some bows going. I think I would do for the bag this. I think I would make this crop top here like burlap. I guess I'm doing a kind of hobo clown, and then it would say like you'd see like some company name here on the side, kind of running down. Um, and then it would have like a poundage, and then it would say like potatoes or something. Okay, okay. I think having the bows be these kind of like really stiff, like cutesy kind of bows, like a lot of clowns will wear as a bow tie. Instead of doing that, having them be like in her hair, I think that's really fun. Man, this hair, I mean, it must be a wig, but it must be incredibly hard to put on or incredibly annoying to put on. But I think it looks great. Oh, one other thing I was thinking was just like crazy armpit hair, like also brightly colored. Okay. I say let's do some color on her. What is this? I have like some red on my pen, my eraser. I was wondering it wasn't erasing good. I could not tell why. Okay. I'm really liking our clown lady. I say let's do some color. We need red, we're gonna need yellow, we're gonna need white, which we don't usually need. White. We're going to need pink. We're going to need green. We'll need blue probably. We're going to need yellow and brown for the potato sack. Okay. We're also going to need peach for the potato sack. Let's do the potato. Let's do the potato sack first. So there's a lot of examples of clothes being made out of like feed bags and stuff like that in all different times and for all different reasons. So one that might jump to mind if you're American or from the United States is the Great Depression. A lot of people made clothes out of that, but then also a lot of times in war, there's people are making clothes out of the materials that come in, like the aid packs sent from other places. For example, in the Philippines during and after World War II, they were impoverished and they were getting aid from the US. And one of the things they were getting was rice, just big. I don't know if I think the U and other grains and stuff, right? And the US was buying it up and then shipping it over. And they were shipping it, they started shipping it. They found out that people were like making dresses and stuff from it, so they started shipping it in nicer bags. And then that helped them there to do that. There's also examples in the Philippines as, oh, hey, Kemsey, that they would take parachutes, soldiers' parachutes, and make like wedding dresses out of it and stuff like that. During the Great Depression, there was a company in the United States, and they found out that people were making clothes out of their feed sacks. And so what they did was, even though it would be more expensive, they started putting their feed into like printed, pretty high quality or higher quality anyway, material. And their feed started selling more than other people's, and it because people bought it and then also would make clothes out of it. And you can find a lot of examples of these clothes in the Library of Congress, or you can find it. There's some history museums that have some photos of them and stuff. But like really great stuff they were doing back when people were sewing a lot. Although I'm sure a lot of people in the art community, you see a lot of people are still sewing constantly and reusing all materials and stuff like that. There's just a company, or was it the EU? The EU just banned the destruction of unsold clothes and cloth, which is astounding because so often clothes and cloth are getting destroyed just because they didn't sell and they want to keep the prices high. And so now that will be illegal and they will have to figure out a different way to get rid of it. Donate it, probably. Or turn it into something else. So turning it into something else, we saw just recently, Blogilates, she won a suit against a company that was making dupes of her clothing. And she sued them, and they had to stop selling them in, I think it was Target and maybe another store. They were selling them, the dupes. And so they had to stop, and they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to take these out of the store. We'll destroy them for you. And she was like, hey, instead of destroying them, send them to me. Like, I don't want to see my company, a whole big part of my company is not wasting clothes, not like being fast fashion. I want to be the opposite of that. And so I don't want you to just destroy these clothes. Can you send them to me and I'll figure out something to do with them? And I think she had to pay for them to send it over, but they did. And she designed like a dress made out of the dupes, made out of the material. And I think she was selling a kit. I think it sold out really fast, but she sold a kit with those dupes and the pattern, so you could sew your own one of these dresses for pretty cheap because the material was all just recycled stuff. Pretty neat, pretty neat. Okay, I'll get back into this. I like what's going on here. We're going to add more in a little bit. So I think straight red for the nose, as per the clown treaty of 1976. Yeah, there's going to be, you think pattern. I was just going to do like a bright color. I was going to do probably like this blue, like electric blue. Um, a black and white check might be nice. But I was thinking she'd probably wear like a bodysuit. Okay. I think, oh, I think for under the eye, let's do orange. Oh, stripes is a good idea. I'm going to erase. This is too dark here. And really, I don't need any real outline there. Okay. Because the color can be its own shape here. Okay, I think yellow, orange underneath, maybe yellow on top. It reminds me of like a sunrise or a sunset. Yeah, I like it. I don't know if there's like conventions or other things to do with clown makeup. I'm just kind of going for it. Okay. I'm going to do more of that erasing. I'm leaving a little bit of the outline here just so I can see what the design was. But I don't want to have the pencil be so clearly a part of it. So I'll just do that. I'm going to go back over this in red. I'm going to sharpen this a little. If I can get my... There we go. Just need a little point. So I always thought when you have these two, here's a little art lesson. When you have two holes in your pencil sharpener like this, I went, oh, okay, this one is for pencils, regular pencils, and this one is for big pencils. And I was like, I never had a big pencil. I guess when I was a little kid, maybe, and we were doing handwriting practice, maybe we had big pencils. But this is for like a regular writing pencil style sharpen, right? Like this. What you would expect for like a number 2 to take a test or whatever. And then this is for colored pencils, so you can get a nice sharp point, or for other graphite pencils, so or drawing pencils, so you can get a nice sharp point. Oop. I got dust all over my girl. I don't know her name. Rhododendra. Hey, Parsons. Welcome, welcome. We are drawing circus things today, and today it is Tilda. I mean, right now we're drawing Tilde, the clown. Rhododendra. I don't know her name. Tilda, short for Matilda. She's the other clown's mom's. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you a tip that you've heard before, but I'm gonna make it a little bit more personal. Um, so every artist is going to tell you practice, 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 practice. That's right. But I think you can get more specific than that. You should you should practice every day, but it doesn't have to be like a big thing or a chore. So I draw just a tiny scene every day. If I draw nothing else, I draw these two characters, and sometimes all they're doing is standing there and talking. Oop, I messed up. But I draw their two stuffed elephant sisters. They're relatively simple, and they've gotten both more simple and more complicated over time. Like they've changed a lot since I started. And I just draw them doing whatever. And even just this simple thing has changed how I understand the line and shapes and 3 dimensions on the page and all of that. And I'm using some very basic techniques where you do like the circles to build the shapes, the simple shapes to build the characters. And I still do that basically every single time I draw them. And doing this, even something sloppy like this, and just kind of spending 5 minutes drawing something like this every day, like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated, has been a huge, huge improvement to my art, my technique, my thoughts. And then the only other thing I would say in the same vein is like, if you're doing art and like there's the flow state, right? Where you're drawing. Like when I first started drawing this clown, I had no idea what was going on. I was drawing some kind of bold and stupid shapes, and I hadn't really gotten into the flow state where it just was coming naturally. But you can only get into the flow state if you're actually doing the thing. So for a long time, I would sit down to draw and I would be like, oh, this is bad. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling like I want to draw. And I would stop because I was like, I want to draw when I'm feeling it. I don't want to force it. Now I just keep drawing, even if I hate it, even if it's stupid. Today I drew this elephant on a ball, which I don't dislike it, but I didn't really like it. And then I drew this popcorn bag, which I really struggled with, which is stupid because it's really simple. And then I started drawing the clown, and it wasn't until we got partway or even more than partway through with getting the outline of the clown that I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the flow state. I'm really enjoying it. And so sometimes you just got to kind of be doing the thing in order to enjoy doing the thing. Stephen King talks about this, and he's a writer, but that's also art. I didn't mean to laugh. It is also art. And he says, and I think this is good advice, he has a schedule, and every day, rain or shine, whether he wants to or not, he sits down and he writes I can't remember, 2,000 words or whatever it is. He has a thing and he just does that. And he can write more, he can write less, but he can't write less. He just writes the 2,000 words. And so that's kind of what I'm saying with my elephants and whatever you decide to draw is you just have to be doing the thing in order to be good at doing the thing. Like, so that's all. Like a lot of people say practice, and like I get that. It's true, right? But okay, I got one more. I have a lot. Another one that I think is really important and that I took a long time to learn, um, and that I think maybe people aren't saying because I have experienced artist friends who say the opposite, which is really frustrating, is like use references. Do basically every time I draw something, I look up a reference and take a look at it first. There's no reason not to. We have cell phones, we have pockets, I mean, we have computers everywhere. Um, there's no reason not to. It's not cheating. It's not anything like that. As long as you're not stealing, there's no cheating in making art. Uh, art is a magic trick. You don't have to tell somebody how you did it. That they don't have a right to know that. Now, you might choose to because they might, if they know, they might buy your artwork or whatever. But it's not an obligation. All right, I think that's my three biggest things that I say all the time. I think they're pretty general. I think. Oh yeah, you're welcome. I hope like if you're on Discord and you join the Discord, we have a Discord CMonsterYK. I'm pretty sure it's still going to be there. It's all teen safe, so it should not have any effect when the Discord brouhaha happens in March. Um, we have people who share their art, share their progress, and if you want to share it there, it's a very nice community. It's not huge, but we're growing all the time, and we'd love to see it. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I try to upload stuff that I draw there from the streams, and I know a lot of other people share their practice, share their finished products and stuff like that. And it's really cool. People of all different levels, very accepting. I think bright pink hair, right? I was thinking maybe electric blue or green, but now I'm like maybe bright pink. Oh, what if we do like a bright pink green combo? Why did I say combo like that? I did a short recently uh, that was improv. So I drew a burger on the stream and then we turned it into like a burger in a suit and tie. Well, somebody asked if I could do that, and I was like, sure. And then we did that, and then I was like, it's like a burger lawyer. And then I try to make shorts out of some of the drawings that I do on the stream. We'll do like what's it called? Yeah, it's to avoid smudging. Exactly. I and then these dots here, this is dirty because I've been using it for like a week. Um, I will change it out. These dots are just blue tack, and that is to um, keep it under my hand so it doesn't slip away, so I can like control it really easily. Yeah, because if I don't have this, I smudge so much, and then I have to go in because I bet you even now, even with the paper, I can show you this, that I'll have to go in and erase like next to the art. Yeah, it even with it, you do have it a little bit, but it's not as bad. If you erase next to where the where the art is, you can see that, like, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but like this is white and then this is slightly gray. And so it's much, much worse if I don't have the smudge paper underneath. The slip sheet, I think it's often called. Um, yeah, so I was sick and tired of like going through and either digitally when I scanned it in or took a photo or manually going through and like erasing all the big smudges. So this way, it's not that bad, and I can correct it pretty simply with in the computer. Okay. Like I'm thinking like kind of, like color changing holographic, that kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking, like green and pink like that. I don't know if I can draw that, so it'll be a choice. It'll be interesting. I guess we could do green and then pink on the other side. Well, let's get the striped shirt underneath. Man, I saw a seal once. I was walking along the beach um, in like a really bad storm. I don't know. I used to go for walks because I was feeling hype and crazy. Now I stream when I feel hype and crazy. Um, and going for walks is really helpful. But one time I was going for the walk on the beach. Ooh, a jester. That's pretty good. And there was a dang seal there, like just hanging out. That's crazy. They're bigger than you think. Well, I don't know. I don't know how big you think they are. It was bigger than I thought. Oh my gosh, I just broke my pencil. Okay. This has anti-break technology, but I still broke it. Dang. Okay. Get. Okay, there we go. I used to love to draw jesters. Like before I ever thought I would do art or get into it at all, I would draw jesters. And I really liked it. I would draw these giant, I think my dad liked jesters. He was like into jesters and like skeletons. And so I saw them a lot. And so then I thought that'd be cool. So I would do that. They were cool. Yeah, so we'll do one of those. That sounds great. I think I'm going to leave the hair kind of because I still haven't really made a choice. So I think we'll leave it kind of partly done. But I like whatever this is. It does kind of feel like that color change I was talking about. Okay. I don't know if she would have striped. I guess this was going to be a continuation of her. Oh, but it can't be. It can't be. It can't be. We decided to do the jokey armpit hair, so she's not going to have the bodysuit on her arms. So that's just that. Okay. Do we think the pants are orange? It kind of clashes with this. If we consider that orange, we could do the pants blue. Let's do the pants blue. We'll do the pants blue. We'll do the patches orange or motley, and then we'll do the shoes red. I think red is probably classic red clown shoe. Clown shoe. Bum, 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 bum. This is good because before I sat down to stream, I was talking about Circus, and instead of having like ba, 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 da, 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 ba, ba, da, in my head, I had Seal, the Seal song, "Kissed by a Rose," stuck in my head. Okay, I'll make it a little darker there. Kind of come in and give it some dimension here. Sort of give it some shading. I say sort of. I just mean give it some shading. Okay. This is a hard question. So at the moment, it's not a job for me. I'm working on it being a job, but I've switched the type of art I was doing. I was doing graphic design and working in that and doing a lot of like that type of art, printing art, that kind of stuff. And that was a job for me for years. And I didn't do illustration at the time. I didn't do any illustration at the time. And it wasn't until much later. But what I did do, oh, thank you so much, Priscilla. What I did do is I was making large art pieces like stenciled posters and stuff like that. And I was getting paid for that. So for a long time, that kind of art, I that was a job for me. Um, I do know somebody, I do know a couple of artists who went to art school and then got jobs working for art galleries or art installation. Or one of my art friends does hanging. He hangs people's art in their homes. And another one of my friends does shipping, and he builds crates and ships people's art um, all over the country, keeping it safe. And they all learned this. Well, my friend who ships it learned it in, he's a family business, but my other friends all learned this and how to do this in art school. And then they still also make art, and they have this other art related job, which they learned how to do in art school, um, to help pay the bills, you know. And then I have a friend who owns a printing business, went to art school, worked with me in the graphic design, and then eventually bought a printing business, or bought the printing business I worked with, and now does that. And she also sells her art on the side. So, yes and no is the unfortunate answer. But yeah, there's lots of jobs in the arts. Uh, yeah, I think that's an accurate not it's not really pessimistic, it's not really optimistic, it's just what it is. Yeah, I do sell my art regularly. I sell my illustrations. I sell greeting cards. Um, I'm trying to work for myself, which is a little bit harder. But I also know multiple people who all they do is print and sell their own art. Um, yeah, so I mean, it can be. It's not as rare as people think. You don't have to be a famous artist to make a living making art. Um, I think people think like you're either uh, I don't know, you're either Picasso or you're poor on the streets. Like you're either Andy Warhol or you're Vincent van Gogh when he was alive, which he was very poor and he was supported by his brother. Um, and that's not true, especially not today when you can have outreach to real people on the internet, your own clients, and you can build clientele that way. It's it's different. It's different today than it's ever been, and it's going to keep changing. So I think also people think like, oh, AI, but AI can't do good art. It still can't do good art. They've been saying it will be able to every day for like 100 years or whatever, and it's just not there yet. And they don't think. I just read a paper that was talking about AI art, and they're like, it can do a bad job, and we don't think it will ever be able to do a good job. Like they were talking about writing, and they were like, it can write like the worst 20% of people. The like but it still cannot write like a professional writer. And they were doing the research and they were like, we don't think it ever will be able to. And that's also true for art and anything else that right now that AI can do in the creatives. So yeah, for sure, for sure. And like that is for me, that's the number one argument, right? Like, well, for me, one of the most important things for me is AI art is stealing, right? It was trained illegally on people's work without their permission, and I think that's messed up. But even without that, right? Say it was trained ethically on people's work with their permission, and everyone was hunky dory with that. You're right. It doesn't have passion. It doesn't have intent. It doesn't tell a story. It it doesn't know what it's doing. And that's a big part of art. I'd say it's often the most important part of art. But then even besides that, it just can't do a good a job. And as the best artist, or even not even the best of the best, just as of good, well practiced artists. So I don't know. They keep saying AI is going to take everyone's jobs, and it keeps just not doing that. So that's also something to think about. Let me see. My pen ran out of ink. Sad. I was hoping I had it upside down, or tip side down. And I was hoping that it would come back to life. Let's see if I do have another one. Let's see if this one still works. It does. Okay, good. I don't know where I got this silvered. Oh, I remember. I was spray painting something silver and I had used that to mask it. So yeah, that's when I was first doing art and I was still working as a graphic designer. I was first making money doing art and working as a graphic designer. I was doing screen printing and I was doing, like I said, making stencils and building posters and stuff. And I was doing that with spray paint. It was like graffiti, except it wasn't. It was like on things that like on boards and stuff that people either asked me to do it on or that I would then sell to them. So that was really fun. Okay, hang on. All right. I guess I should do her hands. You know what? Why don't we take a break from Tilda rhododendron? What is her name? Oh yeah, tilde rhododendron. And we'll do some. We'll try our hand at a jester, and then we can come back and ink her if there's time or if I'm feeling up for it. Okay. Tilda rhododendron. Man, I am hyped today. Man, court jesters. What do I know about court jesters? I was saying some factoids about clowns that I know. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Um, hmm. There's an old uh, contract with a court jester, and I think King Henry VIII, but I don't know. I don't know the kings. Um, maybe with some other king, King Farquaad the second. I don't know. And gosh, I need to move this whole guy up. Let's just move this whole guy up. And the contract was the jester got like a house and some land and whatever, and he worked as a jester for years, and then this was his like retirement contract, right? And the king was like, "Yep, you've been a loyal servant. Here's your retirement. You get a house and like some land in the woods and some whatever, some money every year for having been a good jester, but I still need you to show up once a year, jump over your own leg, and fart and whistle." That was genuinely what his job was when he retired. I just like what a crazy. And then like, he's getting older and older, right? Like what is this his I don't know. It just seems I feel like I'm still let's twist these hips a lot more and have them kind of be in midair. I've done him very big. Does he still fit on the page? Yeah, on the screen, yeah. Okay. This is the stage of every drawing that sucks. Yeah, the clown and the jester I'm drawing from imagination, but a lot of things I will look up a reference. But like, yeah, a lot of things I will look up a reference, and I forever and ever I looked up references for basically everything. Um, but but I've gotten a lot of practice, and as I've gotten more and more practice, I've gotten better and better at drawing from my mind. Gosh, what kind of so we know he has to wear a jester's hat. I'm gonna have his jester's hat be kind of like well over his eyes, kind of like falling down. Yeah, like it's way too big, but he's doing this trick, so he can't deal with it right now. I used to love wearing jester's hats. I had like two or three. I had one with bells. I did not like that one. I like the ones that don't have bells or that have the bells you can like take off. So he just hit the ground. So I think this one's kind of in the air. And this one should be like that. I think physics agrees with me. Yeah, yeah, I like them a lot. And then like there's also the idea, and I don't know, this is varying degrees of true depending on the time period and the king and the jester and the et cetera, et cetera. But that jesters could tell the truth to the monarch when nobody else could, right? So, like, jesters were advisors in a very serious capacity. They weren't just jokesters. They were also, they would tell the king bad news, right? Like if the king's son died at um, in battle, for example, I don't know if we have an actual example of this, but i.e., then the messenger would tell the whoever was in charge of the court, and then the courtier would tell the jester, and the jester would be the one who informed the king. Um, so they served often, even through their ridiculousness, they served a lot of useful purpose. I'm gonna give him like a goatee and like a yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, we're still in the sketch stage. That might change, but I have to not get down on the details right now because I want to see everything else. Like, what is his clothes gonna be? I think big. Ooh, yeah, let's do those kind of like Shakespeare neck, but for sleeves for your wrists. And we'll do like those big, puffy, pleated sort of shoulders. I don't know what those are called. And then he'll come down and we'll do the Shakespeare neck thing for. I brought this pencil up to demonstrate sharpening, and now it's like just I keep picking it up by accident. I don't remember what this is called. I genuinely, in my head, I just think of it as the Shakespeare neck thing. No, yeah, I think like it definitely depended on the king, but there's pretty well documented evidence of them being genuinely important advisors in that way. Oops, I forgot to be talking. Okay, something like that. Do the same over here. This having your hands be in these Shakespeare neck, was it like a ruffle? Anyway, would be so annoying. Like, but I think that's the point. That's why a jester would wear them, right? Like, the joke would then be like you try to pick stuff up or you try to do anything normal with your hands and instead you're just like whacking yourself with the ruffle. I would laugh at that, I think. It's kind of like that joke where you go to pick up the hat, but every time you try to pick it up, you accidentally kick it out of the way. It'd be like that joke. You try to scratch your nose, but instead you like hit yourself in the face. I'm just making stuff up now. I'm just like having a comedian, being a comedian. Okay, I think a kind of flowy tunic. Okay, I'm just going to erase some of these guidelines, see where we're at. So I was just thinking, now I'm like just talking about random stuff, but let's go for it. I was just thinking, so I just said, see where you're at, right? See where we're at. And if you've had a particularly, um, persnickety, particularly churlish, anyway, some teachers might say, like, don't end sentences with a preposition. That's wrong. But there's nothing wrong with that in English. Listen to your teacher so you get good grades. I'm not trying to say don't do that. But the reason we say, the reason people think you shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition is because you don't do that in Latin. And there were a lot of old men who learned Latin as the language of the educated, of school. That's what they were taught in. And they thought that that meant that it was better than English. It was what English should be like. That was the proper way to do things. And so they added a bunch, or they said you should follow a bunch of rules, Latin rules for English. And that's one of them. Don't end a sentence in a preposition is a Latin rule. And in Latin, it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. You can't do it. But in English, it makes perfect sense. And there's a lot of stuff like that about like rules in English that are actually just the way it's done in Latin, and like a stuffy old guy being like, "Hey, all these people who are speaking English, they're doing it wrong. They should speak it like Latin." It's like, bro, calm, slow your roll. Okay. I don't hate this jester, but I'm not loving him either. So let's make some big changes. Uh, well, no, let's finish the feat, and then we'll see. Hey, Soleil, Soleil Sol. Am I pronouncing that right? I hope so. Okay. My eraser left a mess on the page. That's fine. That's fine. We're doing a jester. We just did a clown. If you're showing up new, now we're doing a jester, and we're still. What time is it? Yeah, we're still probably taking some requests. Yeah, so a lot of the time too, it's like, oh, jesters like have a kind of shoe, don't they? I'm like, my brain is suddenly telling me jesters have shoes. Oh yeah, it's the curved, this guy. What is this called? Yeah, yeah. I like this guy a lot because you can get really detailed, and I wasn't using that because I was erasing something big. I do like kneaded erasers, but I never hold on to them. Like I don't know what it is. I cannot get them into my workflow. But you're totally right. And I haven't had one in a while, so maybe I should try it again. Something like that. And then can we do this one facing forward? I think we can. Oh, but now this one's not up in the air anymore. We have to make this leg longer again. I'm like running out of space. Yeah, we'll just leave it. This kind of shoe, gosh, when was it? In the Renaissance, this kind of shoe, I believe in Italy, was actually popular. Like people wore it to because it was fashionable. And they used chains that attached their knee to hold the twist up, hold the twist up. Yeah, so then I wasn't using my kneaded eraser enough, and then it would go dry, and then it wasn't really useful, so. But I hear you. It's a good advice. I'm just gonna draw his hips again. Okay. I'm just gonna do it. I always hesitate to erase something I like, but I think I just made a mistake. Okay. So I try to remember you're supposed to. I learned this in school, and I think it's the right way to go. You're always supposed to, especially in this sketching and planning stage, um, draw things that are hidden by other things, right? So I had erased all the stuff in here that helped make up my guy's body when I erased some of my guidelines. And because of that, I didn't really know where the legs were. And I just made a silly by drawing his leg in the wrong place. And it's not even huge, not even that big of a deal, but it was like not sitting right with me. So I wanted to just redo it. Okay. Man, I used to hate drawing shoes. And a big part of it was I wanted them to be more perfect than they had to be. Like I wanted to make sure like everyone could tell how dimensional they were and like where they needed to go. And it's like one of those things when you're like, oh, it's not that deep. And all of a sudden it's much easier. That was me with shoes. And then my shoes got much better too. It wasn't even like they stayed as bad and I thought they were still bad. That knee is here, that's there. Yeah, a little bit of that. We'll make this a little higher. Yeah, there we go. Same length. Yep. Yep. Yeah, okay. Sometimes I test my lengths of things by just drawing the line and then drawing it the other place and seeing if it feels like it's the right size. It usually works. It's not always precise. All right. Yeah, I think a little bit for sure. Like, so I, there's different situations, right? So, like, I think if your piece is done and you're not going to work on it anymore, then just stand behind it, right? Just be like, yeah, this is great. And in that way, confidence is king, even if you don't feel it for sure. But something that I've taken up recently, because I can get very unconfident about stuff, unconfident about things, is instead of being like, this is terrible. I need to fix it and like keep going, like going and going and working on it, which is something I used to do regularly to the detriment of a lot of my work. What I noticed when I started doing the live streams and or videoing my art is I would go back and look at these mistakes, quote unquote, that I had made that I wasn't happy with, and then I went back and fixed, and I would see that the first time I did it was fine. Like looking at it a couple of days later, it was fine. I should have left it alone the first time. So what I've started doing now is if there's something that's really bothering me and I'm like, ah, this is bad, and I want to redo it like for a second or third time. So for example, I just redid these legs. Fine, right? Maybe they were okay, but I thought the proportions were off. Totally normal to redo the legs. That's the part of this drawing we're on. But if right now I was like, actually, these are also bad, I want to redo them again, instead of doing that, I would take a break and I would go work on something else. We would probably ink uh, Bethany here. And then I would come back and look at the legs again and be like, do I actually want to redo them? Or was that like just me feeling bad? So in that way, like it's kind of like in between. You're not like having the confidence even when you don't feel it, but you're kind of double checking yourself. Um, but in another kind of confidence that I think is, let's work on this guy's fat face. Another kind of confidence. Oh yeah, so I wasn't happy with his face, so we like kind of left it alone, and now we're coming back to it. Um, is like line confidence, right? So I do a lot of these scribbly lines. That's fine. But so I draw these elephants. I was telling you about them before. And when I first started drawing their ears, it would be like I'd be really inconfident and I would like try to get it and it would just be they would end up like kind of looking like and I there would be a lot of corrections and a lot of going over it. What I started doing instead was just drawing an ear confidently. And not every single one would work, but as I did it over and over and over again, I got more and more confident. And now the ears come out and they're great most of the time. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And I erase it and I go again. But in that way, confidence, kind of faking it until you make it, is good. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but it might be time to bust out my vacuum. Okay. All right, Steven. What's going on? Steven the Jester. What's going on with your face here, bud? I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You probably live in a time when there's not a lot of mirrors, so maybe maybe you really don't know what your face is doing. So that's my fault. I shouldn't blame you. You're just a jester after all, Steven. My name is Harry. Oi. Now I'm the jerk. Okay. What kind of a name is Harry for a jester? Actually, I think Harry's a fine name for a jester. I don't want you to be sad, Harry. I want you to be overwhelmingly happy. There we go. You can still have the goatee, but let's make it a Dick Van Dyke. I still like the hat falling over the eyes. I think that's lovely. And I think if there was more space, I think I'd have you juggling, but there's not. I had an art teacher that said, never, like for instance, right? I'm changing my drawing because I've hit the edge of the page. I should have done this guy smaller. I normally draw a little bit smaller. I don't know. I got carried away. Jester sounded so much fun. Um, but my art teacher would say, instead of changing the drawing or changing the art, just tape another piece of paper and then draw that way. And I don't think I've ever done that once. Maybe once. I probably had to do it for the class, but okay. Oh, yeah. What jesters wear that that kind of motley, right? It's like made up of different squares of material. Is that historically accurate? It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it, but I'm just all of a sudden I'm curious. Is that a real thing that jesters actually wore? For some reason, it reminds me of brocade. It looks like that math problem where you're like drawing uh there's a word for it. Like golden ratio squares. It's not a math problem, I guess. It's an art thing. And they're like, see, look at this spiral. And then they draw a bunch of like squares like this. And then you go, how's it go? I don't know. Like, I think this is what Motley. I don't remember. I don't. There's some word like Motley, and it might be Motley, that is meant to describe this type of cloth, like woven together from disparate parts. He looks, oh, because of his face, or just his outfit. I'm here to represent Nickelodeon in the game show Juggle for the King. Yeah, yeah. Like, that's Mark Summers. Yeah, I think his face looks like Mark Summers, I swear. Mark Summers, for people who weren't alive in the 90s, was I mean, he's still alive. You could look him up. But he hosted Double Dare and What Would You Do and a couple of other like Nickelodeon kids game shows. And he kind of looks like Mark Summers. So that's the kids. Was he Double Dare? Family Double Dare? What would is it? What would you do? I think it is. What would you do, man? So I am. I'm diagnosed obsessive disorder and what's the other one? ADHD. Um, although it seems to have been taken off. Anyway, that's a different story. And I'm probably on the spectrum, although I've not been officially diagnosed, but a lot of my siblings have, and it's pretty hereditary. Um, what am I trying to say? Oh, okay, yeah. Mark Summers, one time they did a bit where they have makeup artists on, and they were like showing how good makeup artists were. And they had him, uh, they did the makeup as an old man, right? But as a joke, they were like, "Oh, look how old Mark Summers really is. We do the makeup every day to make him look young. That's how good these makeup artists are, is they can make him look so young." And people on the spectrum have a hard time with that kind of thing, and you think everything's literal. So for years, I thought Mark Summers was like an old man who they made up to look young for his TV appearances for years, for years. It wasn't until like I looked him up once and I was like, "Oh, I literally was in a conversation with one of my friends and I was like, "No, Mark Summers is old." And they're like, "No, he's not." And I was like, "For real, he is." And then I looked him up and he was just not old. Not well, he's old, but he's not that old. And I was like, "Oh." And then I thought back and I realized like I'm the idiot. You know, a cute idiot. Idiot syncratic. Man, I really am hyper today. What's next? What's next? Maybe one that's just red. Ooh, what about red? But with a little gold on the outside. All right, a black and white one. I think that makes sense. It can be left over from Belinda's bodysuit. I cannot remember her name. Tilda rhododendron. This one has a fringe. Is that what, do we call this a fringe in American English? I've been thinking about this for a while because I feel like I never used the word fringe. And then I watched a lot of British TV and then they talk about fringe, like break bangs or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was trying to think of the word for this, like at the edge of a carpet or at the edge of the cloth like this. And I was like, oh, it's a fringe. But now I can't remember if it's a fringe because I actually think it's a fringe or if it's a fringe because British television has twisted my mind. I mean, the second one seems a little unlikely, so it's probably really a fringe. Right, right. Yeah, so that could be the fringe if it's like the border. Right, right. The fringe is the hair like Claudia Winkleman has a fringe. Famously has a fringe. What am I doing? Purple. We need something for this big one. Yellow. We did yellow. I like this kind of stripy one. We could do a better green. Let's do a green. I am still drawing. Kodak. You've been here before, right, Kodak? I think I remember your name. Hmm. We've done a lot of stripes. We've done some checks. We could do we'll do like a kind of tartan. Yeah, yeah. Rings a bell, rings a bell. This, this is when I'm like, why do I have such a terrible memory? We'll do we'll do this one at 50%. Oh yeah. Awesome. You're gosh, you're from Korea, right? Or that's I don't know if you're from Korea. That's the language you speak. That's the language you're trying to learn from. We had that whole conversation about that. Oh, thank you, thank you. I just have I try to remember people. I think that looks good. I should have done the green a little differently, but I think that's good. Oh, you know what we could do? We can go in and erase the green where it's like that. And then we'll come in and we'll do the green lightly. And then we'll do the purple on top of it. Is it purple or pink? Purple. It's purple. It's purple. It's purple. Yeah, I have a bad memory compared to what I used to have. But I think my memory is still generally pretty good, especially though about random stuff. I don't know why I remember the most random things. Like about jesters, which is a jester at a court jester. I remembered a factoid about this one jester who retired and then had to come to court once a year to fart and whistle. And like what a weird thing to remember. It doesn't serve me in any way. It's not a fact that I would ever really need to know, except for I happened to draw a jester today, and like it was a request. So it's just a weird. That's how my brain works. Just like weird factoids, trivia. I remember tons of trivia. It's good. We play trivia games. So I'm gonna do just a couple of blue pieces. I don't have any blue in here, so we'll do some that are just straight blue. Ooh, we could do a polka dot one. Man, Korea. I just was reading about um, the prime minister. Is it who tried to do a coup, a military coup, and the courts just sentenced him to life in prison. That is great. I'm really like proud of a country is not the right word, but I'm so proud of the country. This like in today's day and age, people are doing more and more of this, of that kind of thing, and getting away with it. And I'm so happy that that's not happening in Korea. And you guys, the country set an example. Okay, we did some polka dots. They're not perfect, but I guess polka dots don't have to be. No, I mean different things. Um, I guess in different ways we're ahead. In different ways you're ahead. Your country is ahead. Um, for sure. Like I know Korea is not perfect by any means. Uh, there's like someone yelling outside. There's supposed to be white polka dots, but I kind of colored over them all. So I'm just gonna do dark blue polka dots on a light blue field. Sort of a cheat. There's something else I learned recently about Korea that I was really impressed with. Um, oh, I just realized it's not yelling. It's somebody playing a really loud music, and it's bouncing off the walls of the buildings, and it makes it sound a little distorted, so it sounds like yelling. But I think it's actually a Bob Marley song. Now that I know that, I feel much better. Bum, bum, baby, bum, bum, baby. Yeah, so the story, I'm just keep thinking about the story of the parliament. Um, the prime minister, he declared martial law, and they had the military block the streets so that the parliament couldn't show up and have a vote that says no, no martial law. Like it's not martial law. And they snuck in. The parliament, they got there. And yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it does. It changes your peninsula into sort of an island. That's, yeah. Okay, we did. Okay, we have no vertical stripe, no this way stripe. So let's do one. Yeah, that's hard because, and I'm sure like we hear the good stories, right? So like, I'm sure it's crazy that you had a prime minister. I think he was a prime minister, like I said, who declared martial law. Like that's nuts, and that's a bad thing. But it's great that your country handled it so well, that your politicians handled it so well. But yeah, I like we've not had, and hopefully we never really have a domestic war. Not recently. We had the Civil War, really terrible, but I can't imagine like being only like 70. something years from a war and it not being really settled, right? Like you guys you're still technically at war, and that's got to be uh, that's got to be hard. Okay, so we just have a couple more things to do. I don't know what I'm going to do with these last two. I'm going to ignore them for a minute, and I'm going to do, let's do this undershirt. We'll make it kind of brown because it'll just be made of like undyed flax or cotton or whatever. Okay. I'm going to do a light shade of peach on his face. We don't have to make him white. But this peach shade will let us do whatever. I guess he kind of looks white, so maybe we will make him white. Okay. We'll do a brown beard. Because he's a jester, he's not like... We'll do like a... Yeah, we'll do a brown beard and mustache. He's not... Like, the clown is dyeing his or her hair. She's actually wearing a wig. Gosh, sometimes I talk about these characters that I'm drawing, and like I know so much like why did I decide what his shirt is made out of, right? Because he's a medieval jester, or that's the idea. And so I'm talking about it being like undyed flax, right? Like we did Belinda over here, and I'm talking about like the potato sack, and that the fact that this is a wig and there's like a support system in here, and it's just it's interesting how detailed I get to just draw these characters, these like kind of silly characters. Okay, we have this check. Let's do another check, but do it sidewards. Now we just have one more. We could do... Oh, I know. I'm going to do... red and yellow. Okay. That sounds so familiar to me. So I almost never colored my drawings for fear of messing up. In fact, if I wanted to color a drawing, I would scan it in, or I would make a copy of it and color that. So that's one thing you could do, right? You could I have this desk is glass, and if you could find a glass table or something, and now I have a light that I can shine underneath, and I can literally ignore my mess. What? Where did that come from? Oh, yeah. And if I turn these side lights off, which I'm using just so you guys can see my filming. Wait. Oh, the light's not pointed. So now I could make a copy of this drawing. You guys see that pretty well? And I could color that. Either trace the copy and color the copy, or even do color on top of that, whatever. So you could do that. I did that for a long time. I think it's good. But, and you can get a smaller version of this light thing. It's called a light box, and they're not that expensive. You can get them. Ooh. But I would scan my art in and then color it digitally. But I think the best thing to do is just, so this is something, my wife is also an artist, and this is something that she was very adamant about, that it took me a long time to accept, but she's totally right. How do I say it? It's like, you, it's sort of like kill your darlings. You might have heard this. It's an expression in literature and some other art forms, and it basically means like you can't be too precious with your work. So if you want to be a prolific and successful and a good artist, you got to practice, right? And one important way to practice is by doing the coloring. So what I think now, right, is if I mess this up and I really want to do another one, I'll just do another one. And the next one will be better. So I think that's my advice. Like, if you really can't, if you're really afraid, then scan it in, right? And, or take a picture and save it so that you have it. And there's no worry that even if you mess it up, you have a copy. But, okay, I don't know what else to say there. Yeah, because that's what I did for a long time. Is I only colored digitally, um, because I didn't want to mess it up. I wanted to be able to undo. I had done digital color for years and years and years before I started doing this. Um, and sometimes I'll draw this and I'll be like, this is terrible, and I'll scan it in and I'll change the color on the computer or on the tablet or whatever. But most of the time, it works out fine. I don't know why I did green. I was thinking about doing either green or purple. I think green worked out. I'm going to do some purple. I'm not thrilled. This green color is a little weird for me. But yeah, especially when you're starting, it's better to get the practice than it is to be really precious with your art. Um, I know it can be hard because we all love our art. Okay. I'm going to do light brown for the shoes, like kind of like leather. I assume that's what they would be. Although I guess that doesn't necessarily make sense, but we're going to do leather. Leathery shoes. Pow, 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 pow. Pow, pow, pow. Woo. All right. I've lost likes. I think that's funny. Uh, somebody was like, I don't like when you're saying that. And they unliked my video. And I just, that's great. All right. I'm actually going to get going. We got a decent amount done. We got Jester Mark, and we got this one. I think she's great. I'll see you all guys. What's today? Friday? Maybe tomorrow. I've done my streams for the week, so definitely let's say definitely Monday. The latest. I will try to post it early. Thank you guys so much for being here. And catch me next time. Check out my short. It's funny. I do a Long Island accent. I go because I'm from Long Island. So you can hear it's not my real accent. I put it on, but it's like I knew people who talked like that because that's where I grew up. Anyway, bye. Thanks. It was great hanging out.